everyone, I'm Sandie La Nae. Welcome to Psychic Creations. We have a fun and musical show for you today. Now, as you know, our shows have featured various musicians, songwriters, and singers. Music can soothe the soul. And for this program, our guest is a fabulous local musician whose music is, well, you just can't beat it. It's that awesome. So please welcome to Psychic Creations, the awesome Stephen Hanson. Yay! Big clap, big applause. Welcome. And thank you so much for being on our show today. Awesome. Now, if you don't mind, I have a ton of questions to ask you.
I'm ready.
All right. So let's get up close and personal with Stephen today. Now, do you originate from Nevada?
Nope. Sacramento. I was born, and mostly we lived around there. Yeah. So Sacramento. My family, my mom and dad they eloped up here. So.
Oh, cool.
Yes. So in Carson City, particularly. So. Yeah, that's why they came back here eventually.
When were you? How old were you when you came back up here?
When I first came here, I think I visited like when I was 17, but I came to live here around 20, 21.
Oh,
so
you like,
a little later.
Yeah. Do you like Carson City?
I do. I've gone in and out of phases of liking it and not liking it. I do enjoy it now. I've discovered a lot of things to love about it, especially lately. This last year would be where I probably developed my love for it.
Really?
Yeah, mainly just because the outdoors. There's so much to do. You have Tahoe not too far, so yeah, it's grown on me. Took a little while, but.
Well, I think Nevada and Carson City is real happy that he's with us now. Right. All right. Well, let's go back in time for a minute. What piqued your interest in music, or are you musically inclined?
My father was a guitarist, and my mom used to sing a lot. Like, she was like a parrot. She'd be cooking and singing, and my dad would be always playing guitar, so I guess I kind of picked it up from them. But I remember, my oldest memory of playing music was one of those old organs. You turn them on, and you can hear the like little kid's organ. Okay. I don't know what they're called. You turn them on, and you can hear the air going through it. And I think I remember playing the Jigglypuff song from a little Pokemon show. And then my parents were like, "Hey, you want to play piano? We're getting one soon." And I'm like, "All right." And I fell for it. And my sister and I then had lessons for about a year and a half.
Nice.
Yeah, but that was where it kind of went into that.
So that was your first instrument that you actually played was
the
piano?
That little organ thing, and I'd fiddle around with it, and then when they got the piano, that's where I was classically trained. Like they're like, "You're gonna learn," and then I was like, "Oh no, I agreed to this. I have to do it."
Oh, so, classically trained, huh?
Yeah. Yes, I had a nice teacher in Wairika, California. It was very nice.
How wonderful! Do you still play the piano?
Yes, I would say that's my main. Well, my guitar is easy to take around, but piano, piano makes it easy for compositions.
Are you a concert pianist?
Well, I can't get up and do crazy all over the place. Like if I were to do something like Hungarian Rhapsody.
Okay.
Something I can't do that. That's like on my list. But I was trained in a lot of classical music. Pachelbel canon, all the stuff that everybody hears at weddings.
Right. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
you heard it at a wedding, I probably learned it for a short time.
Well, there you go. You have to get hired.
Yeah.
All right. Well, do you still have your little organ?
No, I actually looked. I don't remember what happened. It's like it disappeared one day. I don't remember.
Oh.
I wish I did, because I looked around online to find it, if I could find that model we had, but it's hard to know.
Sure, right, sure. Well, now on another avenue, do you compose music?
Yes, that's actually what I'm hoping to get into the field of, because there's a lot of room to compose nowadays. You can make a pretty decent living just composing all over the world and just sending music around and working along with a lot of creative teams in indie games need music.
Oh,
a lot of
interesting.
A lot of little shorts, mainly at the indie game revenue. There's a lot of people pouring money into games that you play once. Okay. So there's a lot of these indie developers. They need music one time, and then that's what I'm kind of hoping to get into.
Really?
Something like that. Yeah.
Is that field hard to get into, or?
It is, but I don't know if you compare if you wanted to make music like composed for a movie, you have a huge array of competition that you're not going to be able to really get into unless you. Well, I mean, that's the question of if you work hard enough, will you get there?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yes, there is a lot of competition. There's a lot of people. If you go on to SoundCloud, you're going to find a million people making video game music just for fun.
Oh, sure.
Yeah,
okay.
and video game music in general is very eclectic. So it's not just like chip tunes, which a lot of people associate with it. It's all over the place. It can have classical, it can have metal, it can have jazz fusion, go all over the place. So yeah, it's got a wide array. Yeah, there's a lot of talent involved. Even people who aren't composing for video games can get their music into games because that's what they're going for. If that makes sense.
Well, good luck to you on that.
Thank you.
That's awesome. Isn't that awesome? He's awesome. All right. Well, are you a lyricist as well?
Yes. That's people like Paul Simon and John Mayer were some of my early influences. Mark Knopfler. Those are people that I think they're known probably more for their singer-songwriter.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah. And I've a lot of my stuff was written like 7 years back. I haven't really gone back to the composition writing just yet that I feel comfortable with. So a lot of it's like old.
Hey, but I'm sure it sounds beautiful, though.
Hopefully.
Oh, that's nice. Well, what type of music do you like to play the best?
It depends. I think in front of a live crowd, I really like the guitar. It's just really fun to interact with the audience. There's an energy from it.
Sure.
But at home, I really like diving into how people get tones, how they figure out a particular sound. So like you go and listen to an old 80s band and they use a particular synth that nobody cared about then, but it now is something that's everybody wants because it made that particular unique sound. So going home and finding out how they got particular sound, what they had to do to get that, accomplish it, what room they used to record, everything behind it.
You know, I get that.
Yeah.
It's the tone.
Yeah. Oh, it's interesting how much, like, you think tone and you think quality, but you can get a really great tone off of a little tiny Casio keyboard back in the 80s and 90s where they have the particular sound that you can't really, it's very unique to that.
Sure, yeah.
Maybe it's not, as good as a violin being played in front of you, but it has a unique sound.
Sounds.
Yeah. Sound.
What is it that you like to play best, though? Like jazz or metal or country and western or pop, or what do you like? Folk music.
Like with the singer-songwriter and folk and I guess a bit of rock. The pop lyric writing usually is what I guess I'd fall into in that.
Okay, nice. Very, very nice. And have you ever accompanied other artists or in a band?
Currently, I'm in a band. It's just a project I'm working on, and I'm playing with a local artist who's been in a couple other bands, Carolyn Gates, and she's playing bass, and I'm just doing acoustic guitar. I'm looking to find drummers and other people to join as well, because I have a show in October at A to Zen.
Oh, sure,
Yeah, and so that's what I'm working on. In the past, I've worked with several local artists, a couple people in Chicago, but pretty much mostly in Carson City. The majority of my people I've played with.
Did you compose or sing or play when you did live in Chicago?
Yes.
Did you? Okay.
That was where I was learning software, which is a huge learning curve.
Oh, sure. I get that. Well, let me see, around this area, have you played for benefits or special events or anything outside of more or less a personal type of event?
Back in 2014, or no, it was the end of 2013, I got a bunch of local musicians for a fish donation where we raised toys.
Oh.
We got a bunch of people to donate toys and raise money, and then we donated it to fish locally.
Oh,
and
nice.
I think that was 2013. I forgot what we called it.
Okay.
It was something.
Sure.
Yeah, like jam event or I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, well, fun. Anything new coming up for you? Event or?
I'm working with a few people, but I won't want to say it until.
Okay.
Yeah. There's a few possibilities coming down the road for charitable events and.
Okay. Sure.
Just music. I had a couple come and go, and every time I announce them, then they disappear, and I feel silly for saying it before it is.
Sure.
Yeah. So, But yes, there are some opportunities down the road.
Oh, well, good. Well, once it gets all nailed down, then you can advertise, right?
Yes. Yeah. Once I've had a bunch of practice sessions for the musicians and then have someone booked for
right.
yeah.
I get that. I've had people kind of like at the 11th hour say, sorry, my car broke down or something. I can't make it. It's like, oh, what am I going to do now? So
that's no fun.
No, it's not fun.
But it's hard when it's not their fault, or knowing whether it's their fault.
Right, sure.
Because you want to be angry, but at the same time you're like, well, life happens.
Yeah.
And also, anger is not something super good to hang on to.
Right, that's
just
true.
Learn maybe if they keep doing it.
Exactly. I've had second chances that have been blown, and it's like, that's over.
Yeah, done with that. I gave you a shot.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. Well, have you ever pursued your music for a major or indie label?
Recently, so I've submitted a bunch. I actually got mine professionally mixed.
Oh.
Sometimes I'm bad with names, but I'm pretty sure I'm getting this name right. Larry Crane. He's mixed a few albums for the Decemberists and a couple other musicians they started over in like the Portland area in Oregon. And I recently reached out to him to get him to mix my EP. And so that was an experience, and I've submitted to a couple labels. No success yet. But yeah, that was the most professional thing I've done, was just reaching out and working with him to get the songs mixed. But the album is soon to come. Hopefully.
Sure. Well, baby steps.
Yeah, keep at it. I enjoy it. It's fun. Even if I never make a penny off of it, I'm having fun.
I get that. Yeah.
Kind of have to be.
Well, I understand. So America's Got Talent and all that, just you're waiting to.
My mom. I've had several people say to try out for those, and I don't really like them. I just don't enjoy the shows. I'm not saying they're bad shows. It's just I personally don't enjoy it. I forgot there was I think it was Dave Grohl from Foo Fighters. He's like, Bob Dylan wouldn't have made it on those shows.
Oh, good point. Sure.
And to me, it's if you have a great voice, that's wonderful. There are some insanely good musicians out there.
Sure. Oh, yeah. Well,
I just never had the interest for that.
I don't blame you there. Sure.
I mean, some people say it's kind of silly because you got to do a few things you don't want to do to get somewhere that maybe I should, but.
Oh, okay.
It just never appealed to me.
Well, sure. Well,
it's my mistake.
No. That's all right. Some people can do that, other people couldn't.
Yeah.
I think if I was an entertainer, I think I would just die on stage with all the thousands of people out there. I'm paralyzed for life now because of fear.
Yeah.
Awesome.
There's other elements. I think some people fear the idea of being rejected on that big of a venue, and then that carries on into the way you feel like you're not worthy anymore.
Right.
I think I was more afraid of that than like, I'm better than this.
Sure.
It's just I don't want that rejection this early, and I'm getting more confident, but I wouldn't want that to shoot me down.
Oh, of course.
Trigger something in my brain that's like.
That's a good psychological point, people. Yeah.
Trick yourself.
Yeah, right.
Fake it till you make it.
That's right.
So, I don't mind flipping the tables and asking you a few questions because.
Oh, okay.
I'm still familiarizing myself with your show and other things you do on it, so I'm sorry if this is a repeat. But when did you know, when you were growing up, that this was your passion? Like, how old were you? Was it something?
Passion for.
Everything, all the history, everything that you do here in Carson City, particularly. Was it just you grew up here, or I know so little about you?
Oh, well, I'm a Sagittarian, first and foremost. I'm vain, I'm a ham, and so anything that comes along my way like this, I'm right there to do it. And it took me a long time to get over the fear of what we were talking about a second ago, about stages, TV, radio. It took me a long time to get over the fear of presenting myself, okay? To talk nicely, professionally, okay? And then it's just fun. Now, I've had my TV show, Psychic Creations, for over 5 years now, and I love the idea of being able to bring forth guests and let the world see who you are. Find out who you are, where you came from, where your interest came from. History, I'm an author, of course. I like to write about history. You know, that never really came around till maybe about 10, 12 years ago. Before that, I hated history. I didn't care about anything except medieval history in Europe. That was cool. American history, blah. But I love Western history, okay, for my books, because that's kind of new. That's only been around for a couple hundred years. And we're all pioneers out here in the West. And so that's why I like writing history about the West, because we're still creating it. We're over in Europe, it's a zillion years old. But we right now are still creating the Western history.
I guess that's true.
Yeah.
I never thought of it that way.
Yeah.
But because it's called Psychic Creations.
Psychic Creations.
And how does that apply? Like, do you usually talk to people about anything in that area?
Right. Everything that I have to do with myself has something to do with the metaphysical. I was born a psychic. Everything I do is psychic. My radio show is called Sandie Psychic Communicate. Okay. Everything I do in life has to do with something with psychicism, intuition, divination. That's all me. I have literally one foot on the other side, and I live my life toggling back and forth. And it's very difficult, but it is so much fun, because I get to see what's on the other side, who's over there, talk to them, and bring those messages and communication back on this side.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate you sharing that.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I've never had anybody ask me questions, so that was fun.
I have more if we had more time.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much for the question and answer. That was very, very nice. But now back to you. Could you please give our viewers your contact information?
Currently, I'm on Twitter, SoundCloud, Instagram, YouTube. Most of them, they should just be Stephen Hanson II at the end of it. So usually if you just Google Stephen Hanson II, which is meant for the second, but that's just what it makes it easiest.
Right.
And usually you can find me on SoundCloud, where I post a lot of music. Reverb Nation, YouTube, they all kind of have a mix match of different things that I post. So whenever I feel like doing something, I'm just like, I'm going to put something on YouTube or the SoundCloud. Or
You're just all over the place.
Pretty much where you can find me, but Stephen Hanson II.
Okay, nice, very nice. Now I have a very special question to ask you. Let's see. Question number 13. Could I bend your arm to have you play a couple songs for us and our viewers? Jeopardy song.
Yeah. I will play some songs.
Thank you so much.
I'd love to.
All right.
And this is an original called Get Well Soon. I can't run away from this. Fleeting is the feeling of happiness. Wide out in my mind, and the only north I can find is what he said, and that the only cure is time. Your fears and love go hand in hand. It's not your midnights, but late afternoon. Oh, these feelings will dissolve into sand laid by the moon. I can say is get well soon. Get get well soon. I'm living in a state of scandination. But turn the page and watch me move, a product of appreciation. Without this love, I could have never grown. Your fears and love go hand in hand, and it's not your midnight, late afternoon. These feelings will dissolve into sand lit by the moon. And all I can say, and all I can say, and all that I can say is get well soon. Get well soon. So this next song was one of the first songs I started writing in a series of songs, and it was kind of just trying to portray an emotion that I couldn't quite describe. So this one is called Warming Touch. Innocence cost a broken stained glass window, the image lost, cold hands under your breath, makes me want the rest. They won't love you like I did. What does that say about our love? Wall is present, one that divides us from navel to fatal. Remember your birthday, very first moment so seldom, your consciousness to call and all of your freedom. Cold hands under your breath makes them want the rest. They won't love you like I did. What does that say about our love? It means I don't have the warming touch. No, I don't have the warming touch. Starts with thought in my inside. Whether I know which way's the right way, sometimes take me where water falls. Don't go down, but head straight up.
Thank you so much, Stephen, for being on our show today. What an honor it is to have him on our program. Oh, viewers. Well, yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Appreciate
This
it.
is awesome. Awesome. And your music is just, fabulous. Told you can't be beat. Now, if you would like to be a guest on Psychic Creations, please note that the content is of the metaphysical, paranormal, spiritual, and musical. Isn't that cool? You can contact me at my website, which is sandiepsychicstones.com, www, or at my email address, which is admin@sandiepsychicstones.com. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next show.
Is what he said, and that the only cure is time. Your fear